This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Encompass Health, North Shore Community College, Leo Inc., Brotherhood Credit Union, and Daoulas Brothers Construction.
Welcome to the beginning of summer and another edition of the LCTV News. I'm Danny Vittori, and this week has a mix of celebrations, ceremonies, and new grant recipients. The GAR added a combination of history, new and old, on the Lowdown. Here's the news for Friday, May 31st, 2024. Raw Artworks held their annual block party and exhibit opening last Thursday, the 23rd. This is also a time when Raw seniors are honored for all their hard work with a sweatshirt presentation. Surrounded by resource tables, free food, and artwork covering the sidewalk for a fun day.
Welcome again to Raw Artworks Block Party and Exhibit Opening. Thank you everyone for being here. We have our resource partners on the back. Thank you to the Lynn Education District for being here today.
This is so inspirational. It's just amazing. I had the opportunity to come in here, look at some of the artwork. This truly is a safe place for kids to express themselves. What I liked about the mission statement, the first line said that kids should be seen and heard. They should be, and they are here as well.
Thank you everyone for supporting our exhibit opening and for supporting youth development, creative youth development through our programming. Raw Artworks is an organization that has been rooted in me for close to 40 years.
I am so excited to be here with you this afternoon to celebrate all that you do, all that you bring to our community. Art is a critical part of our community, of our lives together, and it should be a critical part of our young people's journey to finding themselves. Art matters because of what it can mean for economic development, what it can mean for learning, education, creativity, and what it can mean for reaching people, both the audience and the artists themselves, as demonstrated by some of Ra's incredible art therapy work. And most importantly, art is beautiful, and we all love and need beauty and truth in our lives, and we thank Raw Arts for providing that for the city of Lynn. Thank you so much.
The Lynn Public Health Division is using a recently awarded CHII NICIP grant to create an inclusive health coalition, the purpose of which will be making the community more accessible for those with disabilities, as well as addressing racial disparities among those with disabilities. The role of the IHC is to ensure that the grant is used for assessment, an inclusion plan, implementation, and evaluation. Members of the committee will be those with lived experiences, organizations focused on disability inclusion in programs, and community leaders. To this end, applications are now open to fill commission spots. This is a paid position, and responsibilities include directing inclusive programming for the grant, recruiting additional members, and having regular check-in times for project oversight. Memorial Weekend is a time of celebration and reflection for the community. However, the feeling was darkened this year in Lynn as two individuals, whose names have not yet been released, drowned in separate incidents on the 27th. The first call came in around 7 p.m. from the Lynn Reservoir. Then 4 hours later at 11 p.m., a report was called in for a second drowned person at Sluice Pond. Both victims received medical attention and were transported to Salem Hospital, but were pronounced dead. They are currently being investigated as two separate tragic incidents, as there is no indication of them being connected, according to Lynn Police. The City of Lynn held their Memorial Day procession and ceremony on the 27th. LCTV was on scene at Pine Grove Cemetery for the ceremony, honoring all those who have served our country. Here is a clip from the event. Dear God, I'm gonna do like
Country is coming to celebrate 250 years in a couple of years, and over those centuries, countless individuals have contributed to democracy. Democracy is not anything simple. It requires all of us to be a part of this system of government, and we all can and we all should. And so many have done that over the centuries from the beginning through unspeakable challenges, countless struggles. A select few have given everything, have made the ultimate sacrifice. And today, we remember those individuals. The 753 depicted here since World War I, all those Lynn residents who gave their lives in service to our country, as well as their families, who have missed them and in many cases continue to miss them.
Lynn and Nahant have received $28,000 in grant funding for free beachfront events through the Better Beaches program. Sponsored by the Department of Conservation and Recreation and Save the Beach, Save the Harbor, this is the greatest amount of funding Lynn and Nahant have received throughout the program's 15 years. The money will be used to sponsor 9 different programs, taking place from June to September, including the Lynn Music Foundation, Diversity Matters Festival, movie nights and concerts at Red Rock Park, as well as the Veterans Beach Party, all to serve the program's purpose of maximizing beach potential and connecting residents to urban resources. This past Tuesday, City Council voted to hold a public hearing for a proposed bond authorization to purchase Eastern Bank headquarters at 195 Market Street. Requested by Mayor Nicholson through a letter to the council, the hearing will take place on June 11th. Due to a shift to remote work, only 20% of bank employees work in person. Therefore, Nicholson has proposed repurposing the building for educational use, including the Frederick Douglass Collegiate Academy, or centralizing administrative offices. There are currently just over 16,000 students enrolled in the district each year. In order to fund the $12 million purchase, the city would issue municipal bonds, with an estimated debt service of $669,000 annually, including interest for 30 years, which would be less than the $750,000 the city currently spends to lease various spaces for academic use. According to Nicholson, after 3 years, lease payments would become city expenses, therefore having no impact on the budget. The Lynn All-City Track and Field Championships rounded out another year of spring sports. Tech took the title on the girls' side with 198 points, while St. Mary's was victorious for the boys at 148. This is the only time when all 5 schools get to compete with one another, given their placement in different conferences during the season.
On your marks, set.
On Tuesday, May 28th, Lynn High Schools had their annual track and field championships over at Manning Field, giving students a chance to compete one last time before their school year is over. Led by Coach Tristan Smith, competitions included both girls and boys 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters, 1 mile, 2 mile, javelin throw, high jump, and others. Before the competition began, a student performed the national anthem, and Lynn officials spoke about the importance of the event and what it means to the city on Memorial Day weekend.
Track and field is a sport of inclusion. It's a sport of everyone coming together and giving their best, going for their own personal best, and that's what I hope we see a lot of today.
It takes everyone coming together to create these kind of moments where you can showcase your talent and abilities and build relationship with your teammates and with the other teams around the city.
I ask you all to remember all that have fallen. And when you see the monuments with their names, remember they all had dreams and goals and aspirations, a lot like you do right now. But they sacrificed their lives so you could have your dreams, goals, and aspirations.
With the final results tallied, St. Mary's boys and Lynn Tech's girls won with the same score at 198 points, while interestingly, both schools finished second in the opposing bracket, each with 148 points. Following those two schools in the boys bracket was Kip Academy, Lynn Classical, and Lynn English, while the girls bracket had Lynn English third, followed by Lynn Classical and Kip Academy, respectively. For LCTV News, I'm Josh Englander.
Now we tee up the sports update. The Doug Mullins Memorial Tournament took over Fraser Field this weekend. 2 hits and 1 run are often not enough to win, but the Spartans scored once in the 8th, winning 1-0 over Swampscott in the opening round of the tournament. English and Classical had a very different run-and-gun 8-7 final, resulting in victory for the Bulldogs. Tied 5-5 in the 7th, a fly ball to left was dropped, putting English up 8-5. The Rams fought back, scoring twice in the bottom of the frame, but a runner going for home was tagged out to end the ball game. St. Mary's earned the hardware, beating English 8-4 in the championship game. The Bulldogs struck first, putting one over the fence for an early 1-0 lead and would retain a 2-1 lead through 3 innings. But the Spartans fought back, aided by 2 Bulldog errors, taking the lead 3-2 in the 4th. They scored 5 more times in the 5th, highlighted by a 2-run triple by Nate Couton. Not to be outdone that easily, the Bulldogs scored twice more in the 6th and loaded the bases, but Jacob Peterson sealed the win for St. Mary's, striking out 2 in 2 innings of relief. Pitcher Josh Donnie earned the MVP nod, going 6 innings with no earned runs in Game 1. Since its inception in 2022, there's only ever been one winner, St. Mary's, and they kept that streak going for the three-peat. Spartan softball topped off Catholic Central League play with a win 5-1 over Cardinal Spellman. Eliza Crane Oviedo notched another complete game, striking out 10, supported by strong offensive play from Gabby Marchell, going 2 for 3 with a run and 2 RBIs. They handily won the John Holland Memorial Tournament 20-1 over Classical. Brooke Maloney earned tournament MVP, going 3 for 4 with 4 runs scored and 3 RBIs. 3 other Spartans had standout games, including Michaela Walker, going 5 for 5 with 3 RBIs. Currently, they are ranked 5th in Division III at 14-4. Despite suffering such a lopsided defeat, Classical did beat English on the 25th 7-1, securing their spot in the state tournament. Ram Rachel Dana also connected for her 100th career hit. Tech Baseball were the victors of an 8-2 final against Mystic Valley. 2 Tigers combined for a dozen punch-outs. Eddie Lewis Jr. with 7, and Abel Hernandez throwing the other 5. Lewis Jr. also went 2 for 2 at the plate, aiding Nevin Gonzalez, who led the offense, going 3 for 4. They bounced back from a loss last week, moving to 11-8 headed into the postseason. Track and field pitted Classical and English against each other, with the Bulldogs coming out on top 104-26. 5 English players won their events, boosting their overall record to 4-3. In playoff news, Bulldogs tennis were knocked out of Division I play in the preliminary round 5-0 to Shepherd Hill Regional High. The 26th-seeded Rams also met their match, traveling to face Winstonville Christian on the 29th and losing 5-0. Classical baseball was eliminated as well, 4-2 to Whittier. On the flip side, both Classical and Tech volleyball picked up their first postseason wins. The 41st-ranked Tigers upset 24th-ranked Madison Park 3-2, aided by multi-dig games from 6 players, including the Commonwealth Atlantic Conference MVP Edric Gonzalez, who added 13 kills, 5 digs, 2 aces, and a block. For Classical, they took care of business, sweeping South Shore Charter 3-0. Kenzel Lantano led the charge with 30 assists and 6 aces. At 28 and 29, the Red Sox are doing better than most expected, clinging to third place in the AL East. Boston went 1 for 3 against division rival Baltimore Orioles, losing the first game 11-3 and the final game 6-1, sandwiching an 8-3 victory in between. In their only win, both Rob Refsnyder and Wilyer Abreu went bridge in the victory, with Rafael Devers knocking in 2 more RBIs. The Celtics are moving on to the NBA Finals for the 23rd time in their history. Boston swept the Pacers 4-0, but is one of the most competitive sweeps in recent memory. In Game 3, Indiana saw an 18-point advantage disappear as the Celtics turned the defense up to 11, blocking 4 straight shots. Down by 8 with 2.5 remaining in regulation, Al Horford drained his 7th three-pointer, and Drew Holiday gave the Celtics back the lead 112-111 on a driving shot and subsequent free throw. Holiday then stole the ball with 2.3 seconds remaining to secure the win. Game 4 was much of the same, with the two teams trading baskets and neither one gaining a double-digit advantage until late in the second half. Jason Tatum stepped up in a big way, not only scoring 26 points, but grabbing 13 rebounds. In a game which saw several players take heavy contact, including a foot to the face for Peyton Pritchard, defense was again the deciding factor. Down 102-98, the Celtics did not allow Indiana to score for the final 3.5 minutes of play. Derek White hit the biggest shot of the game, a three-pointer for the eventual 105-102 final. Tatum missed a three-pointer with 9 seconds remaining, but Holiday grabbed the rebound and the series. The GAR is currently closed for renovations, which will include a new elevator and updates bringing them into ADA compliance. The curator and president of the board joined us on the Lowdown to discuss the importance of this groundbreaking and what it will mean for the museum going forward. Hello and welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Danny Vittori, and today we have on 2 people from the Grand Army of the Republic. Talks about several different topics. Thank you for coming on today.
Hi. Thank you.
Would you mind just quickly introducing yourselves and your positions?
Wendy Joseph, and I'm the curator of the Grand Army of the Republic.
Great.
And my name is Patti Pendexter, and I'm the chair of the Board of Trustees of the GAR.
Great. So would you mind just giving a very brief history of the GAR, because it has a long and fascinating history here in Lynn?
Well, the GAR itself was an organization that was created by the returning Union veterans of the Civil War when they came up north. And the GAR in Lynn was created only 1 year after that national organization was created. And they named themselves the General Lander Post. General Lander was a general from Salem, so he was a local guy that a number of the men from the post had fought under. And he died very, very early in the war. And the GAR that we know as the building and the museum was created in 1885 by the gentlemen of Post 5. And now in 2024, we're trying to revitalize the structure.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things you're coming on to discuss, is you just had a groundbreaking ceremony to begin a very large revitalization project. Do you want to talk about that?
It is. What we determined over the past couple of years is that the first step that we had to do is put in an elevator to make the building ADA compliant, because otherwise we're not eligible for most grants.
Oh, okay.
And there is a lot of work that needs to be done inside the building. And the facade needs to be redone. So that is what the next step in this project is.
And it has been closed already for several months now, and it's taken quite a while to get here. What goes into all that planning, and how do you get to this point?
Well, the first, why it was closed for 3 months is that the cost came in higher than we had anticipated. So we needed to find additional funding sources, which is what we did, so that we could move the project forward. The total project is between $7 and $8 million is what it's going to cost to revitalize the whole building, not just the elevator project.
And Patty brings up a good point. The large amount of money in that one big chunk is from the ARPA, from the COVID relief funds that were given to the city, and the city decided to fund to the tune of 1.2,
And then
an additional to bring us over the edge so that we could begin construction.
Which is a huge deal.
in addition to which, after the funding deficit, the Friends of the GAR contributed $50,000 to the project too, because they've been raising money and getting donations to help fund the project. So that's where some additional funding. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it was crucial in helping us move forward.
And also additional support from the City of Lynn through community development.
The community, we received a community development block grant of $400,000.
So the city is investing heavily in this project.
Yes, they are, and like you said, $50,000. That's still $50,000.
It's still $50,000.
And when it all comes together, you get those chunks, and all of a sudden, you have the amount you need. That's usually how it works, right?
So that's why we're able to now move forward, and that's why it took a little bit longer than the closure, because we needed to fix the gap.
Get the rest of the money.
Thank you.
And that gave me a lot of time to really be able to take the museum down, packing things up so that they would be safe for construction.
Of course. And what's the timeline for completion of the project itself? You know, when is it expected that it would reopen?
1 year.
Okay.
It's a year-long project. And it's not just the elevator, it's the storefront too. The lower level will be done because the bid was so good, you just had to do it. You had to do it based on what the bid was. So we're also doing that.
So that's phase one. Phase one would be around a year. Then we see where we are.
And another interesting thing I saw is you actually just released a survey as well, asking people what they'd like to see in the buildings. So you're trying to increase that community engagement aspect as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, part of our commitment is to find out how the community wants to see the building used. Mm-hmm. How can we attract more people to the building? Of course, the primary goal is still to honor the Union soldiers, first and foremost, but we want to engage the community. We want it to be a place where the community feels comfortable coming to, that there's events that they want to engage in, so that's hence the survey.
And I guess when you're looking at it, what sort of events do you picture there? Like when you think about ways to engage the community, were there any ideas that came to your minds?
Well, in addition to events, I'll go quickly back to that. But one of the ways that we're engaging is possibly having co-working space, or things have been floated around, a food pantry, a coffee shop, various things, and that's one of the reasons why we're having that community survey. It's heavy on space use. Right. What would you like to see in there? And we're really jazzed about the possibility of helping the gap in places that nonprofits can rent month to month because of the housing and the office situation. But as far as events, I mean, look at that gorgeous top room in that grand hall. Mm-hmm. That is ready for fundraisers. If you want to rent that room for your fundraiser, for beautiful dinners, and actually the trustees have even thought of really upgrading it. It could be a fabulous movie event as well.
I was thinking weddings, a nice small wedding, but maybe that's a little extreme.
I agree. That's perfect.
But that's what now that we've reached the first phase, that's what we're going to look at. In addition to finding additional funding, we want to look at using that space, really do a comprehensive survey of how we can use that space.
And I like all the ideas. The wedding, hey, shoot for the stars, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It. Yeah, and it's great that now you have the ability to look forward and do that now that the first phase of construction is really happening.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you mentioned them quickly before, but the Friends of the GAR, they also have a capital project happening, which separate from the trustees, separate from you. But
Yes.
it's volunteers?
Yes.
Yes, it's a 501c3. It's a 501c3, the Friends of the Lynn GAR, and they're just starting out their campaign. They came forward with this fabulous postcard that they brought around during the groundbreaking, and they're continuing on to that. We have an awful lot of funding yet to go, and these are the right people to get that job done.
So, and they're looking at different aspects of the building that they can fund.
Okay.
Like maybe naming rights for certain things. So they haven't settled on any specific topic, but they are looking at ways for substantial funding to,
Yeah.
move the building forward.
And then from there, they can decide maybe what piece to focus on, what part.
That's their plan. Yes, yes.
Because there's so many potential options where you could do with the funding. right?
Absolutely,
Yes,
absolutely,
yes.
Dana, you got that.
One of the things that we've applied for is the Senate Appropriations Committee. They every year they have an application where you can ask for money.
Okay.
So we requested $500,000 to do the facade. Now, is that a pipe dream? Maybe, but we asked for that amount of money. So
Well, you never know unless you ask, right?
That's what I always say.
Yeah, you got to at least try for it.
That's right, and it would go a long way. While this elevator is a very costly piece of this puzzle, it's very essential.
Right.
But secondly, that facade with that scaffolding that's been up there for around 6 years now, that would be so much of a bellwether thing to have that completed so that people could actually see from the outside that the building is moving forward.
Another visual reminder.
Exactly.
moving forward. And I'm trying to think. You've gone through so much and been so efficient in answering the questions where I will be wrapping up in a moment. But is there anything else that you wanted to mention about the GAR, about the building project? Really anything I didn't hit?
The one thing that I like to say, because I have to say it, is that yes, it was a groundbreaking and it was really important, but to me and the trustees, it was the celebration of a couple of years' work getting to this point.
Yes.
So I was looking at it as more than just, oh yeah, we're breaking ground, but we're celebrating hard work, political will, to get this project done, and just a different perspective of a regular old groundbreaking.
Recognizing all the hard work it's taken to get here.
Yes,
Correct?
yes.
All right. Well, like I said, I'm so glad you could both come on here to speak about that a little bit and talk a little bit more about this amazing building and the projects that you have moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank
Dana.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anytime. And once again, I'm Danny Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests. Now the community calendar. The South Harbor Implementation Plan is now in draft form, and residents are encouraged to learn more about it and participate in one of their office hours. The plan encompasses the area between the Saugus River and Blossom Street Railroad and waterfront, providing a framework and possible next steps to usher in the transformation residents want for the waterfront. The next office session will take place on Tuesday, June 4th at 12:30 p.m. on Zoom. Anyone interested can sign up at linnincommon.com. On the subject of beaches, head down to Red Rock Park on the morning of the 8th for a cleanup. Sponsored by Pickup Massachusetts, DCR, and Friends of Lynn and the Hot Beaches, the cleanup will run from 9 to 11 a.m. Trash bags, gloves, litter poles, coffee, donuts, and water will be provided, and no pre-registration is necessary. Continue the day by visiting the first annual Cook Street Park Community Fiesta from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Put on by Councilor Matul to bring the community together. All are welcome. There will be a canine show from the Sheriff's Office, touch a fire truck, a youth soccer tournament, health tips, food, and much more. That wraps up the news for this week. As the summer ramps up, so too will events, so be sure to follow us on social media at Lynn Community Television to stay up to date on all that is happening around the city. And visit our website, lyntv.org, for our complete community calendar, news, and press releases. If videos are your main interest, head to Lynn Community Television on YouTube for staff and member content. Finally, a special shout out to our very humble community media producer, Josh Englander, the greatest editor in LCTV's history, who will be leaving us for the shores of Sweden. We wish you all the best. I'm Danny Vittori, this is LCTV News, and we will see you next week.
This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Encompass Health, North Shore Community College, Leo Inc., Brotherhood Credit Union, and Deolis Brothers Construction.